Welcome to today's collective reading. Begin with doing some clearing. All right. In the meditation before the reading, it is perfectly normal and natural to desire to feel good. And in desiring to feel good, it is not a selfish act, because when you feed yourself, nurture yourself, pursue your own happiness, pamper yourself, you are filling your own cup so that when you do collaborate with other individuals, other energies, work on projects, create, you are able to bring your best self that you possibly can to that moment. And at times, there's going to be anxiety. At times, it's going to feel overwhelming because maybe you won't necessarily know the right path. But in desiring to feel good, you seek to soothe yourself. And when you are sensitive, tuned in, aware, even if you don't necessarily identify this way, we are instinctually aware of a lot going on in our environment that we aren't necessarily consciously aware of. So when you're picking up on these things on top of what's going on in your life that's kind of weighing on you, that you bring with you everywhere because it's kind of just there, it's life, right? And to know that you can visualize like what it is to have the hand motion of, I'm open and receptive, but I'm not going to suffer foolishness. I have boundaries, but I'm willing to give. So discovering where those boundaries are to protect your joy, to protect your happiness, and still be able to give, right? Now, if this is not necessarily like a hand motion you're incredibly comfortable with, another one you could do is like have your left fist, which, like right over your heart. The left hand is more receptive, it's the open, and the right hand to just kind of wrap around it gently, like rock and paper, right? So the paper is the expression of the boundary, protecting your heart, which is your grounding force that connects the very real experience of your physical, like day to day, with the more internal, higher level thinking and emotional expression and processing that comes into your heart. So the heart is the center of that bridge. So it's your anchor, it connects the two. And this paper, this hand is saying, I'm protective of my heart, but I am willing to give. And just to take a couple minutes, a couple moments, and just have that resting over your heart. It's a very strong statement to yourself that you got this. That in the midst of what's going on, you can find calm within you because you can trust yourself to set the boundary, to protect your joy, to protect your happiness, so you can continue to be in a state of having a full cup. Enough energy, enough happiness, enough of the positive, peaceful energy that allows you to cope with the chaos better. Like you're protecting that. You're not giving too much. You're not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, and you're finding where these boundaries are. Today's reading is very muchly about the necessary boundaries that we are discovering as we go through life on this spiritual journey. Because for a lack of a better word, what else would you call this? Because a spiritual journey by itself is unseen. It's something that's within. And then you can act it out, you can move it, you can express it, and your energy can precede you. But it's very much like an internal state of being. And protecting that allows you to continue to remain in that. I mean, who doesn't want to be happy, right? It begins within you in those boundaries. So with that being said, let's move into the reading. Let's get into a little more of the specifics for the collective that's tuning in today. Whenever this reading comes to your attention, it is meant for you in this moment. There's something here for you. And definitely leave whatever does not resonate. If there is a card with a feminine caricature or a masculine caricature on the image, I may use that gendered term because of that image, but do feel free to invert. If this is something that resonates more with someone of the opposite title, then that's it is for you. That's where it resonates for you. There is no gender in tarot or oracle readings. It is all about energy, and we all have both to some extent. I can be assertive, setting that boundary. I can be assertive while remaining receptive. Okay? And that's present within everyone. So, let's see here. Where am I being led here? Okay. Alright. We're going to go forward with this deck here. This, just to kind of show you guys, this is the deck here that I will be doing the oracle reading from. And then we'll grab some clarifiers. And I'll have some simplifiers towards the end just to kind of summarize things. Simplifiers are, short and sweet, kind of allow the universe, the divine, to just come through really to the point with anything additional. Overall, even summarizing whatever they want to bring through for you guys. So, what does the collective tuning in tonight need to know about these boundaries in their physical reality? Let's really just kind of begin. I'm really being led more to the concept, the thought aspect of it. Yeah. So that would be more like element of air. So what is on the mind? What is the way that you are, really mentally approaching it? Oh, give me here. Okay, so I'll bring the card up here, and it's the Failure's Muse. It's number 28, so that could come to a 10, which is a form of completion, a mastering. Now this card can kind of hit you a bit triggery, but look at it from the other angle. What do you do when you're learning how to do something? You don't fully succeed perfectly the first time. You don't step out the gate a master. You master by learning what not to do and what to continue doing, and creating new ways to approach a situation or a problem or something you're trying to solve or create. So where your mind is at right now is, okay, what has or has not worked? What do I need to adjust? It's very, I'll start this here, right here in the middle. It's a very good contrasting background with this, but we'll move forward with it here. All right. So the higher self, future self aspect would like to come through and have a, specific card that is definitely a signifier is coming from that part of yourself. Now, I've used this deck in a previous reading, but that is the name of the deck, and that eye on there, oh, my hand's shaking. That happens sometimes when I'm channeling. The eye it stands for, like, the technical title can be kind of off-putting, but it's called the evil eye. And it's meant to repel any kind of negative energy that could be coming in. So it's a very, very high vibrational deck, and the imagery, the art, the feel of it, it's just very high vibe. All right. Oh, I did not do that. Gotta ground myself a bit. Stamp my feet. Yeah. So the reason I tap, oh, wow, that came right out. Okay. All right. So this is the Page of Wands. And this is something that it's an opening of a portal, an opportunity, or a meeting of the higher self on a more intimate level. You notice that this person here, it's just a child. There's a youthfulness. And you are that child, but you are also this being of light. And the darkness, like, it can't exist where this light is. You are both. And you're communicating more directly with the higher self. This is an affirmation that you have ascended or raised your vibration or done enough of the healing and the shadow work, getting to know yourself and releasing things that just don't work for you anymore. Letting go of the negative to embrace the new, the positive, the light, to be able to connect with this part of yourself more directly. So this is definitely an affirmation from your higher self saying, you're on top of it. You're right. If you were questioning, if you're doubting, if you're unsure, no. This is something that is happening, that is legitimate, and there's such positivity here. It's like an awe of one another in a way. Like, you've both been, these parts of you have always kind of been aware, but in a more subconscious way. This is definitely more conscious. Definitely more conscious. All right. And, honestly, kind of feeling like, yeah, I think we're just going to grab one more. If there was anything else that the higher self wanted to. Oh, wow, this deck is definitely if it falls on the floor, you got to pick it up. It's meant to come out. These two came together just like this. So I'm going to read them just like this. So you have Two of Pentacles. And then paired with that, you have the Nine of Cups. So we'll begin with the Two of Pentacles, as it's kind of over the Nine of Cups. The Two of Pentacles is bringing in this Nine of Cups energy. So there's a sensation of juggling, of manifesting and co-creating and sending this intention, this intense, fiery will out into the world. And there's this definite intention of direction. You see these two arcs here for sure. There's definitely a co-creation present. There's another energy assisting in this, or it knows where it's going and who it's going to. It could be where, it could be the project, the creation, the future, the individual, it could be really anything. However this resonates for you, what is weighing on your mind, you're not alone in creating it. It knows where it's going, and where it's going knows it's coming. There's a back and forth here. And the Nine of Cups it's not quite the 10, which means you're wanting that. I get the vibe that this is like dawn, and someone's up a little early because they're just so excited, and they're out on that balcony just enjoying the beginning of the day, and they're in awe of what's coming. There's a new beginning here, and that's why it's at the 9. It's not quite at the 10, because she's alone on this balcony. And this definitely appears to be a very feminine form, so feel free to invert that to masculine. But it's an anticipation of this energy actually joining her. So if you go with the genders here, this is a masculine. So they are manifesting both being on that balcony, deciding to contribute together to make a 10 of Cups. There's a new beginning here. And this is what you've been working with. Now, being that we talked about boundaries quite a bit in the beginning with meditation, it's speaking to the Two of Pentacles with the masculine here, because it's the assertive energy. That's a lot of will being put out. So that assertive energy is setting boundaries. It's communicating those boundaries. So what they need, what they desire, what you need, what you desire is being co-created in order to protect that Nine of Cups, to maintain that Nine of Cups energy. This is something that can be applied to situations and to people outside of you, yes. But I encourage you to look at what it means to you within inside of you first, because that's where manifesting begins. The world will mirror you. So what's going on within the protective, assertive energy within you? How are you setting your boundaries to protect your Nine of Cups, to keep them full? And all of that has brought in this mastering of this enough to be in more of a direct relationship, consciously aware relationship with your higher self, graduating out of the subconscious. That's beautiful. Okay, so this is just where your mind is at. You're just trying to dissect this and fully make the connections to understand it and decide how you feel about it. And okay, so how are you feeling about this, and what guidance can come through for the collective here on this? Where is the emotional experience with this? What guidance is to come through here? Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so this card is the Predator. It's number 41. And if you notice those hands, oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so it's number 41, so that's a 5. So there's some kind of a unifying. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, because those hands, they're not really quite protective, it feels like this energy may present itself. If you really look at the skin tone here, the top hand is very tan, right? But the bottom hand is almost gray. It's like it wants to be perceived as one thing, but it's actually something else. This is a mask. This is the emotional mask falling off. Oh my gosh. So the emotion what's needed to be highlighted for you guys is that overcoming some kind of struggle or obstacle within you that is outside of you, that's kind of coming in, something has been challenging you to take its mask off, to see what's underneath and make sure that it knows it's fully seen, thus it has no power over you. Thus the five, like the fully integrating that awareness. Beautiful. Okay, so what is the higher self, your future self, desire to highlight for you guys? For the emotional side here. All right. We have the Three of Cups. So the Three of Cups, to me, it's speaking to the surrender to the Trinity within the. Let me clarify what this means. So, to me, in this image, they're all wearing some kind of robe. So they could be masculines or feminines. But for this analogy of explaining this, which is consistent with the theme, you have the feminine, the heart, the receptive, the intuitive, the awareness of connection. And then you have the masculine, the assertive, the protective, the will to put into action, setting that boundary to protect that heart. And then you have the divine spark within you, that awareness of self that you can't really quantify, somewhat of a mystery, but you're aware it's there. And forgive me if my language isn't quite exactly the language that, is your unique relationship, because we all have a unique relationship with this. So that is the third contributing energy that is present within the heart as well as within the protective energy, the assertive and the feminine, the receptive and the masculine, right? Okay. It's kind of kitty crisscross there. That's interesting. It's like your higher self is like, are you with me? So this has been co-created. All hands on deck. You're in union within self, validating this five. All of you is surrendering to that divine flow of energy, that ability to manifest, because you're protecting with assertive energy. You're setting your boundaries and you're protecting your heart. You're receptive, but you're not going to suffer foolishness. You're not going to put up with certain stuff, which allows you to protect that, which allows this to be demasked and for it to know. So it's aware it has no power because you know. Okay. Can I have a second clarifier? Unless you throw out a couple of, like, the first part here, wow, they were just falling out, jumping out practically. All right, and then we have the Queen of Cups. Isn't that just a beautiful card? I look at all those lights around her and think fireflies. All the opportunities, possibilities, lives that you interact with, that you touch, and it doesn't matter how superficial of a way, you have an impact. Because your energy precedes you. When you're in Queen of Cups energy, it precedes you. So when you're moving throughout the world, say you're like at the gas station, or you're at the checkout and you're getting some groceries, the simple, kind way of, just being you, it can completely change that individual's experience at the teller or maybe it's a customer in line behind you, a fellow customer. You just being you can brighten others' day. But it doesn't mean that they're taking from you because you have no boundary. You have that boundary. So the Queen of Cups, she's got all of those cups. Every single one of those lights are cups that she's interacting with and aware of, but she's fully focused on what's in her hand, what she's doing, and she's all lit up, and they're all just kind of around, just observing. So she's not being depleted in any way. She's got her feet in the water, and she's sitting on earth. She's grounded. She's receptive, and she has boundaries. It is definitely affirmed in this image. Such beautiful artwork. So we have where your mind is at and where you're emotionally at. You have demasked something that sought to take your power from you by being deceptive in some way. And it may be something that you've been struggling with for a while. It may be something that's relatively fresh. And it's just you reaffirming this. If you've already managed this or mastered it, it's you reaffirming it. Or it's you mastering it, which is definitely being clarified here. But for some people in the collective, this is a reaffirmation of something that you already have mastered at some point, but you've had to reassert that mastery here. So what does the collective need to know about how this will be manifesting in their physical experience, how it is manifesting? Some guidance, some clarifying insight for that. Okay, I want to make sure we have plenty of space here. So this is the goddess of graves. Now we have the cup and we have the sword. And then you have that lotus flower. And you have the three faces, which to me speaks to, yet again, the unity within. That you have that boundary set, that you are protecting yourself. Now, this is how you contribute in a way when you move through the world and you're encountering someone in line behind you. Maybe they're complaining about something. Like, oh, I can't believe they don't have more lines open or something. You could just like join in and use the sword, use the more aggressive. But to do both sides of it and then allow them to decide how they want to move is a really good metaphor with it. Such as, maybe you've worked in a place like this before. Maybe you kind of know that it's not really the person at that desk has no say in how many lanes are actually open. It's decided by some corporate location that's remote and completely disconnected from their customers. So you're bringing down to home, maybe it's not really their fault, right? Like maybe they don't. It's like being mad at somebody for something they have nothing to do with and can't do anything about, right? People don't necessarily think about that when they're out doing their daily stuff because they're lost in almost a meditative state. If you are grocery shopping, you are in partial meditation. You are. You're lost in your own little world of how many do I need of this? Did I forget something? That's where you are. And that's a very grounded, basic human-to-human experience that we typically all have at some point in our week, sometimes every day. So, with that being said, being aware of that unity, like demasking this energy, you're aware that it could come to you through anyone because it could trigger someone somewhere could remind you of this, and now you're emotional, right? You have overcome this. You've demasked it. It doesn't have power anymore. So when you encounter that energy, what you're actually doing is assisting that individual in demasking it for themselves. By simply going, you know what, I'm gonna be receptive to your experience and empathize and seek to understand your side of this experience, but I'm also going to set a boundary and I'm going to say, you know what, whether you choose to react, respond, communicate, whatever, however you move, it's still a reaction, even if you're not acting at all. If you don't respond, that is still an action. And that person is going to be aware of that. If not consciously, subconsciously, they are going to be aware of that. And that is how you affect the lights in such a, simple interaction that most people don't think about. They're just an autopilot, but you do affect people by how you decide to give to what they're putting out or not to give to what they're putting out. And that lotus here, to me, it highlights that you are aware that we are all connected. Because you can see their perspective, you can understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, you can understand it and you can see that, and that there is a connection, a commonality. And however you decide to move, has an impact. However subtle that may be, it has an impact. Right? Definitely. I feel almost like doing like a sensei bow here, because I'm not like pulling the fist right up to my heart and letting it rest there. So it just looks like I'm gonna like bow, like almost like the divine in me honors the divine in you, the namaste. And it's fitting that it's a lotus symbol. Then, okay, so if I could get a couple clarifiers for the physical experience of the mastering of this and the connecting more consciously with the higher self. The boundary having been set. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, all right. 9 of Wands. Let you guys see that really clearly. I'll try. I hope this is focusing really well. All right. That's a heavy energy. That is heavy. Oh, okay. All right. That wanted to come out. And the Wheel of Fortune. So this was something that it was a real challenge for you to master. And you didn't create this by yourself. There's definitely, there's a lot of Trinity. Like even here in the Failures music, there's two wolves, and then there's a beautiful woman in white. There's Trinity imagery throughout, and I really like how much Gaia is reflected here in the thought. It's very muchly centered around Earth. And here is just like such a desolate space, and so I just get so much, it's like stubborn. Like this person put pretty much like almost blinders on when it came to manifesting in this card by itself. It speaks to that. So you were very focused. You were anything other than what you are pursuing in creating this balance within self is unacceptable. And you moved that way in the higher self, in the energy, in the choices that you made internally to heal self. You went to battle with your wounds, and you're healing them, you were transmuting them. And that takes a lot of courage. But because of that, of going within and looking at everything that's happened in your life, I think they call it dharma, right? Like going through and figuring out what your dharma is another way of saying shadow work. that has brought in this Wheel of Fortune. This to me is almost, speaking of the World card too, it's the turning of the wheel. It's the opening of that portal to be able to more consciously communicate with the higher self. Thus, your ability to manifest is supercharged right now. And that is simply because you are aware that in gaining this balance within yourself, you are manifesting it outside of yourself. It begins within you. Whatever you want, whatever you're desiring, whatever your focus is, in order to bring that into your reality, you have to begin with what needs to change within you. And you get to choose that. And this person, this stubbornness, this hell no energy, this anything other than what I desire, the end goal, is unacceptable. Anything other. And this doesn't mean like it's highly detailed. It's like, I'm getting the movie reference, like Saving Private Ryan, for some reason. And it kind of makes sense because in Saving Private Ryan, my understanding is he's the last surviving male of his family line. So I believe it was Tom Hanks played the character that went out to make it so he was no longer in a war zone, so he would survive. So his bloodline would continue, right? So he had to be very focused on getting to this individual. Anything other than getting to this individual, because that's the first challenge for him, was to find the guy. Then, he could be like, all right, well, since we're here, I have all these things planned in the background. I'm going to try to make sure they're in place. But if they're not, I'm going to have your back and do what I can to make sure you live. Almost to an extent of like self-sacrifice. Very passionate, very moving and deep. So that level of intensity was what was brought to this. It's not where you have every little detail plotted out. You know that the divine, that consciousness that we can't really fully, like people have tried and tried and tried, and you can't quantify it. You can't boil it down to that is this and this is what it's called. And there's always more to learn. There's always more that's a mystery. But you feel it intuitively. You know that this light leading the way, it's truth. It's pure. It's love. Your higher self. You know that this is chasing away the dark. So you know that this is illumination. This is knowledge. This is truth. This is love. You know that energy wants to affirm, reciprocate the faith, the love, the strength that you have by giving this energy some openings to surprise you. If you don't leave any void in what you are manifesting, you may end up with what you don't actually want, but you didn't know you didn't want it. That kind of a thing until you actually have it. You got to leave some opening, and this individual knows that. That's why they're just like, man, I just need to get to Private Ryan. That's where they're at. They got to Private Ryan, or this goddess of grace. They're tired, but they're a well-honed spiritual being. They know themselves. They know themselves very well. And that's allowed for this new portal to re-embody that inner youth, that inner child, and connect with your higher self. Just beautiful. All right, I think that's I'll let's see here. What's the Yeah. All right. Okay. So we're going to do like an overall summary of what I want to kind of cover here for you guys. All right. So we're going to grab this deck here. You guys are curious. And yeah, I am being called to grab the Moonology deck too. And there's a couple of different Moonology decks, but this is the one that I have. I know that there's a couple of different ones, and I've thought about getting more than one and just mixing them together. So we'll do at the base with the Moonology cards here. Oh, yep. And that's Trinity, the clearing, very clear sign to my subconscious, which is a very profound aspect of self once you get to know that part of yourself. Very powerful stuff there, which you have done. You've done the healing, the shadow work. Oh, okay. So we got 2 breaks here. So I'll do. All right. So we're going to do 3 cards and a crossing card. And since these are short, to the point, almost blunt in their delivery, I don't mind doing 4 for this. It should be pretty much validating, if not highlighting one more aspect. So these 2 are in relation, and these 2 are in relation to one another. All of it together is a cohesive message. So we have the last quarter moon in Virgo. Attend to the details. So now that you've mastered this, you've got like the bulk of it down. Now you get to kind of get into the more micro aspects of things and kind of fill in the blank a little bit more. It's like unwrapping your Christmas present from Divine right now, because your manifestations come in. It's come in and it's slowly unwrapping. You get to be surprised. Last quarter moon in Capricorn. Leave the past behind. Ooh, there's definitely something there. So we have Virgo and Capricorn. Capricorn is very stubborn. This may be a bit of a challenge. I feel like this person's in awe. Like they've just inherited the moon. And they're like, what? What is this? This is mine? What? No. Okay, so let's just grab, 2 clarifiers, one for each one here, just to kind of break it down just a little bit more. All right, attend to the details is paired with protection. So you're locked in. You're locked in. You've made a very decisive decision that has locked you into your current path, and it is protected. You can attend to those details now. Oh, okay. Ooh, beautiful. All right, leaving the past behind in Capricorn, paired with abundance. Okay, I'm just going to channel this for you guys. So, with the leaving of the past behind, the reason you have been so stubborn is because something sparked this desire in you. Your destination was the only outcome that you were willing to accept. And that's because of this thing being something you've already experienced. In order to have this full in the now, being alive in the moment, experiencing the magic as it unfolds before you and just feeling so alive, You can't be going, yeah, but in the past, this was how it was. This was how it felt. This is the way it moved. This is how I was able to be, to fully allow all of this abundance in, to receive this manifestation. Your greatest challenge is going to be moving into, what is it now? How does it feel now? How do I feel about it? What do I think about it? Am I okay with it? Am I not okay with it? Being in this goddess of grace state with this manifestation in the now. So it doesn't render the past invalid. It's not a disgrace or a betrayal of the past. It's an embracing of the now. You've reached the destination. You can let go of the struggle to get to it. It's okay. Okay, so we have assessed the situation, first quarter moon in Virgo. So we have last quarter and first quarter. Ooh, interesting. And with that symbol with the triangle pointing down with the circle in the center, this tells me that it's boundaries and receptivity yet again, the connection between as above, so below. You're at the new beginning here to observe, attend to the details, observe. And then we have full moon in Libra, yet again, a judgment. Because that's what this is, this goddess of grace. You're passing judgment on how you perceive things from a very balanced and connected state. Balance. So find a balance between assessing and observing and attending to the details, as well as knowing that your present moment is protected. So you can, and begin to be okay with not having to have that struggle. Such a beautiful message, Divine. I definitely having this road, and I like how it's dirt. It's very grounded. And there's that path before you. You're going in between the rocks there, the mountains, the earth structure. Ooh. Assessing the situation. So this is very intuitive, and it's a co-creative expression. But your light is shining in that you're in the Queen of Cups. Like, I like how it's right next to that. You're in the Queen of Cups. You may not be aware how you impact these lights around you because you're balanced. Oh my gosh, what are the chances of that? Yes. Oh, and look at this. Look at how they mirror each other here. You see those symbols? It's locked in. It's locked in. Your protection's locked in. And there's this tells me this is like yin yang energy almost, because you have, like, say this is the light side, light, dark, dark, some access to both, right? And it's this give and take. And I get the sensation that this kind of ebbs and flows a little bit within you, and you find that balance as you move through and you encounter energies, even if you don't leave your home. Say you just go to get mail and you just say hi to someone as they come in the door, or they say hi to you. You're balanced, and that is affecting others. If you think of this in a concept of like the Matrix, your being balanced affects all the code around you. And being that it's protected, and because you've demasked, that, they have no power to harm you. Because as long as you remain in a state of balance, knowing that you're protected, knowing that you're connected, knowing that as you encounter other energies that are from this kind of space, that you're going to be guided, led, directed on how to move and find your way through, and know that you're not alone in this. You're not alone in this at all. You are very muchly connected to your higher self. Definitely. And what a beautiful reading, you guys. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations on fully demasking that and taking that stance with yourself of placing that fist over your heart and knowing you're receptive, but you're having boundaries. You're protecting your own emotional state of being while not shutting yourself off from everyone. It's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And that concludes today's reading for the collective. I really hope that you guys found some validation for your own intuition, and you know you're not alone because this resonated. And as I always end my readings, the divine within me, because this is how I relate to Namaste. It's very basic core way. It's the acknowledgement that we are both connected to divine, and I honor that. So the divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste. I would also like to express my profound gratitude for being able to channel this message for you guys.